and he says, I don't know much about that. Um, but I know that the sands that you brought away are some kind of uh, are significant to to the dead. Who are these dead people? Why do they pursue you? What I it was very confusing. Those things that attacked us and attacked the that you fought against, I don't think they were dusters. And that's all I know. I know nothing of these things. My employer, Sasiva, my friend, and here he uses a word that you're not familiar with. The word he says for friend isn't just ordinary common for friend. It's kind of like a in English we would actually use the Italian compadre, um, and it has a in English it has the implication that your interests are so entwined that you have no choice except to be friends. Right. You have committed to one another. So that's the word he uses, and I don't think that Athasha knows it. Um, and so he refers to Sasiva that way and says she may, I mean, what sort of danger is she in? What sort of danger are we in? Fareth says that he thinks that this will help. Should I be bringing a horde of the angry dead? I mean, she asked me to go and get these sands, but I don't think she knows that there is a whole troop of the angry ghosts following her. I don't know anything else, but I know that's what I saw. I also saw you command and battle them.
Otherwise, what they're doing is I'm kind of leaning close, I guess, because we're leaning each other. I'm leaning. And when he says this, I take a step forward and say, I told you the sands are not the point. We may bring them, but I don't think it's going just taking them away. It's going to stop them. It's quite personal.
Personal to Ethasha, he says.
I take a moment of silence and say, it's personal to Siva. And that's why we need the shaman. I don't think she can
in that
get
case,
away.
Right. In that case, says Had, in that case, he says, he shakes his head just thinking about how things turn around and around. You, he says, pointing to Itachi, says, are now my problem. You are now my job. I have to keep you alive and well.
Farid, how can you be so sure? And what did that word mean he said about?
I turn to Had and say, give us a a moment,
Mm-hmm.
and I turn to Itasha and I will speak in Duster now.
Mhm.
I expect Had to understand. I'm not trying to be.
He understands
You know-
basic. Yeah, he understands basic, Duster. He understands that you guys need to speak in it. But go ahead.
I wanted to make clear with him that it's not about
Right.
holding information
Right.
from him,
Mhm.
but like to be natural with,
Right.
with Itasha.
I'm
So-
still not gripping how he can be so sure.
I briefly go over the fact that the word he used means that she's important to him in a way that may not be, sentimental, which is already, I think, not precisely the same concept for
Mhm.
Dusters and humans.
Right.
But take it as something very similar of two people being of the same tribe and looking at each other's well-being as their own well-being. It's that kind of companionship. And so now that he is worried that what he's bringing back may hurt Ceciva, I think you can understand that feeling well, because it's the same fear you had expressed before about bringing it back to your people. And aside from that, as I said before, I think I'm kind of sure. I mean, I don't have proof, but I pieced things together. And I really think what we saw happening in a dream, what we saw happening at the gathering of the tribe with the ghosts is proof that this spirit is tied to the person that we are bringing the sample. I don't think we can stop that process. And so the next question I'm going to ask you is going to be maybe weird for you, but it may be important in time, so bear with me. And the question is, are you more comfortable with a dagger or a spear? And I ask this to Itasha, like bluntly, right? So trying to convey this idea.
Right.
Because it's happening, I don't think we can move out of the way. So the best thing we can do is to be there with everything we can.
You say you can provide me with a weapon.
Yes,
Okay.
I think I can. This is
A dagger would be
okay.
what I can use.
I see that. And I turn to Had and say, do you have any arrangement with Ceciva about the time we need to be? Do we have any way to commit to
We
get in
can.
touch with her?
Right. We should continue making our way home, and I can send a message ahead. And if I understand correctly, he said, looking back and forth between you, you're going to need some equipment ready for you, and perhaps some
Yes.
people with some experience that you can work with.
Precisely. Yes.
He says, I'll make arrangements to proceed a little faster and try to get a word ahead as well as I can.
I'd also like to make an assessment of how much I can make within a sense.
I see. Right. Well, there are two things to keep in mind. That, and I don't know how well Farith knows this, but we're going to go out a little distance and assume that this will become clear. even though you have a lot less than you started with, and even though you it hasn't been kept as clean and tidy as you would want, Ithasha has the ability to purify and separate earth materials and minerals. So
Right.
if she uses that miracle on these sands, they will be restored, or even better than they started, in terms of precisely and only what you would be working with. So, given that you could have the most optimal sand, and you maybe could use a blend of that and this particular sand, or some other way to use both, you could probably, given what I saw in that video, or in the videos I've been looking at as well, you would have enough for a dagger and a little bit left over that might make something else, but not more.
Okay.
So a dagger or a spearhead is very good. You have plenty for that. I don't think you have enough for a sword, or to make, for example, 10 daggers you couldn't make.
No, that was I was asking about the
Yeah.
spear because
Yeah.
I felt like maybe a spearhead, aside from the dagger, I would make for Cecilia because
Right.
we go there and say,
You could probably, although I think that it probably wouldn't be. I'm just thinking about physically what's happened to the sand. I think that you could try. You might be able to get a spearhead, or a light spear, a smaller spear, right? For
well,
not like
we
a
will see.
not like a
Yeah.
foot long, not like a foot long war spear blade, right?
Mhm.
Or a
Yeah.
spearhead, but a small one for a shorter, lighter
Yeah.
spear. You could probably do that as well.
My best option was arrowheads, but our arrow using
Right.
character left us in the dirt.
Uh-huh.
So
Oh, that reminds me. Zadev has,
Yes.
that reminds me of something I was thinking about. I'm glad you mentioned that. You may not have special death glass arrowheads, but you do have another kind of arrowhead, and you have a few left.
Mhm. Yeah.
What do you think Zadev thinks of Basilisk's teeth from the place of death as arrowheads?
Oh, true. Yeah, I didn't think of that. Maybe he'd be frightened of them entering his flesh as I try to escape, because I do think that Mephistophel will say because he had said that thing about me choosing to stay here if I felt like staying, and it would be so nice if I would stay. And so I think Mephistophel and Oakman, they must have some like sign that they both would recognize, as other people wouldn't understand. It means let's run.
Mm-hmm.
And so whatever that sign is, I think in the middle of his sentence where he's saying you should stay, I think she has this realization, makes that sign, and I think both of us run through. What I'm picturing is we run through him and out into the whatever is beyond this pit of dead bodies and stuff.
Wow.
I don't know what kind of role that would be.
Well, there's a couple of things. I mean, if you don't really, if you're trying to make a direct attack on him, you can. But I think you're probably not trying to do that. So,
yeah, we're just trying to run like right past him.
Now, they do have straightforward attribute rolls in this game, but it's usually reserved for things like spirit. They don't see much in the way of using